out like an offensive rhythm. The last game, I thought, they give you a lot of, like we said, puzzles to solve. I thought we'd come out and play well. Really did. Fortunately, we had the cushion. I think we looked a little bit gassed at times. They just kept hustling, beat us to some balls. But thankfully, we had the cushion, and everybody stepped up and played really well. Led by our vets today. Mike, Rudy, Julius, they were really kind of leading the way. It was great to see Dante with a big game out there again, and so just a really solid effort by everybody. So,
just from a big picture standpoint, this has been an up and down year. It took you a while to find where you're at. Just what does it mean to you to be back where you were last year? And
every team goes through a lot, and it's just everyone wants to rush the process. Everybody wants everything to be great and compare it to what you've done in the past. All that's kind of irrelevant, really, when you have a new team coming into a season. And the challenge we laid down to our guys from day one was quite simple. It was one question. Were you a Western Conference Finals team, or were you a team that just happened to make the Western Conference Finals? And there's only one way to prove that. Go out and do it again. And that was our mission all year. And, it took a lot of growing pains, but the team's come together at the right time and playing its best basketball. So,
Chris, can two things be true at once? Really active, crisp ball movement and 21 turnovers at the same time?
Yeah, no doubt. I thought we had, a lot of our turnovers I thought were unforced. A bunch were in transition. We have these moments in transition where we just don't make the simple play in front of us and make it hard and try to play in a crowd. And then, just some tired ones at the end. So.
But the ball movement?
Yeah, the ball movement was great. I thought the ball movement was great. I thought our spacing was great. When you play a team in a series, you start to figure some things out, hopefully. Guys did a good job of figuring out those zone and all the changing defenses.
Chris, with Mike, you guys, and he was kind of cognizant all season of trying to maintain his body, watch his minutes, sometimes resting. What he's given you right now, and on a night like tonight, just is this what you guys had envisioned all along, and just how huge was he, especially in that first half when the game was still close?
Yeah, Mike was absolutely huge today, I wanted to try to give him as much rest as I possibly could in the first half. Just never know what a second half of a game like this is going to look like. And so I gave him a long break. Didn't start the quarter with him like we normally do or often do. And, we played pretty well. And then he came back in, and, after they kind of tightened it up a little bit, and just was outstanding. We did a great job of finding him. And you get him clean looks like that, he's going to make them. So.
Chris, what did you like about the way you guys were able to defend Jimmy Butler in this series, and how were you able to prevent him from having these big games that could possibly take over?
Yeah, I think, he does such a great job of drawing fouls. I mean, he got to the free throw line at a fairly decent rate, but, mostly we just try to take away his playmaking. It was really great job of getting everybody else involved. We were fortunate to have a number of guys to be able to body him. Jaden has length. Julius has physicality. Ant has physicality. And those guys, and even Rudy did a really good job when he got switched on. So, over time that take its toll on somebody when you have to face that many defenders. So.
Chris, Ant had a career-high 12 playoff assists, and as a team, you had the most in franchise history for a playoff game with 36.
Yeah.
What was kind of the chicken and the egg there? Was that Ant, being fueled by the rest of the guys, or maybe Ant's passing fueling the rest of the guys?
So I think Ant's passing got us started, got us good looks early. Ant, they were putting two on him right away, right out of the gate, doubling him. He found Mike early. Made the right read for the most part out when they were putting two on him. Did a really good job when he got downhill of finding people and making the right play there. In games like this, he said before the game, or yesterday, in practice, we're going to need everybody and be ready. And both he and Julius, when they're creating shots for their teammates, this is what our offense is capable of. So.
Last year, you guys had a quick turnaround between the round 2 and the West Finals. This year, you'll have at least a few days off. How beneficial do you think that'll be?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. I mean, this series was a lot quicker than the last one. Last series we had two days between every game. This one came faster and faster. So plus a lot of West Coast travel. It'll be good to get a chance to take a breath and regroup and figure out where we're going. So,
Chris, in regards to Julius, at any point over the course of the season, did you have doubt that he was going to be able to find this rhythm that he did and become the player that he became?
I mean, I guess my job is to not really doubt my own players in that capacity. So, it's hard to predict the future. I was steadfast in my belief that Julius was going to help this team when it mattered most. Like we've talked about a number of times, it was a trial and error process, like most things are. But I never really doubted the fact that he was exactly the player that could help us in moments like this. We just had to get to moments like this.
Chris, right here. What about Julius's game do you think really lends itself to performing at a high level in the playoffs?
The physicality, the offensive physicality, the ability to get his own shot, the ability to calm the game down, the ability to put body on big wings in the league or big players. He did a great job. LeBron, he did a great job defensively here. I've really been most impressed with his defense. I mean, his offense has been. I mean, he's a phenomenal offensive player. We just have to figure out how to unlock it. But his defense and his commitment to the defensive end for us has been absolutely top drawer.
Coach, throughout these playoffs, you guys have proven that you can win with defense, monster individual scoring nights, or a total team effort like tonight. What does that say about your team, that there isn't just one path to victory?
Yeah, I mean, we know what our recipe for success is. We know what that means for us. Coming into the playoffs, our team talked a lot about the selflessness that was needed for it to be able to be anybody's night, and that every series is different, every night is going to be different, and just stay ready. Dante was huge for us tonight, big spark off the bench. We just talked about the balance with our veterans. In particular, Rudy had, probably his most impactful offensive night tonight. But those guys kept guarding and they kept doing everything else, even when the ball wasn't coming their way, and shots were not falling or they were not getting shots. So, that's all credit to our guys. They made this a point of emphasis. This is what we had to have. So.
Coach, you feel like your team is peaking at the right time?
Well, I thought we peaked as the series went along. Every series is different. So, so you see how we started game one. I thought we played pretty well in the Lakers series. So, you gotta get the engine going again every single time, every time you start a series. So, but we're playing well. We're doing things we know we can do to win games.
Chris, earlier in the season, I think it was out in Los Angeles, you spoke about trying to build a culture and an organization that gets a lot of kind of spins at the wheel, advancing deep into the playoffs, things like that. Obviously, second straight year you're in the Western Conference Finals. What are maybe some of the characteristics that you can identify, whether it's with the guys or the organization as a whole, that has helped you get to this point from where you started when you got here?
Well, I would say, resiliency, connectivity, preaching about, making winning plays, doing the right thing, all the cliched stuff. I think it was Dave asked me about, everybody's window. Like, the key is you got to just put yourself there as many chances as you possibly can. Tim Connolly has a great line. He says the path to success is not always linear. It doesn't mean just because you went so far in the playoffs you're going to go one step further. You might not always do that, but yet come back the next year having put in place the lessons that you learned. And I think I could see some of that. I could see some of that for us in the playoffs, what we learned last year in the Dallas series, and how we were applying it. Not necessarily with tactics or strategy or game plan, but more about approach and connectivity and what happens, when the pressure comes.
Obviously, Chris, to that approach, the complexion of the series obviously changed a lot when Curry went
Sure,
up. What
no
did
doubt.
you just think about your teams maintaining the proper approach really throughout the rest of the way?
Yeah, I think, it's, a tremendous loss for Golden State, no doubt. Tremendous loss for the series, and I'm sure it would have been quite different, had Steph been able to play. But our guys took care of business, and that's not something that we've always done. I thought we had a bunch of business-like approaches in this series and took advantage of something that happened and made the best of it. So no need to apologize for it. We just, went out and did it.
Chris, at one point in the season, did you personally know that this was a Western Conference Finals team and not a team that went to the Western Conference Finals?
Depend what day you ask me. That's part of the journey. But we felt confident in our group.